Hello and welcome to another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. On each episode, we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney Plus. So for this episode, we are taking a look at the direct-to-video sequel, Bambi II. And stay tuned for our bonus story as we take a look at the history of Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground at Walt Disney World. And if you are enjoying these videos, I do ask that you please hit that subscribe button. That way you will never miss a single one of our episodes. But for now, sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like I said, we are talking today about Bambi II. This movie was released on direct-to-DVD on January 26, 2006, and it was directed by Brian Premtel. The screenplay was done by Alan Kirk, and the production companies was DisneyToon Studios, with it being distributed by Walt Disney Home Entertainment. So there is not much in terms of production history. It is part of the direct-to-DVD video line that was started in the mid-90s to the early 2000s. But let's take a look at the cast. So we have Alexander Gould, who does the voice of Bambi. Patrick Stewart does the voice of the Great Prince of the Forest. Brandon Berrig does the voice of Thumper. Nikki Jones does the voice of Flower. Andrea Bowen does the voice of Pauline. Anthony Gannon does the voice of Rono. Cree Summer does the voice of Mina. And Keith Ferguson does the voice of Friend Owl. So in terms of the plot, picking up shortly after the original movie's end, Bambi follows his father, the Great Prince, into the forest after his mother's death, and the Great Prince must teach the young fawn and his friends Thumper, Flower, and Owl how a deer survives in the forest. But the Great Prince finds that his high-spirited son may have a lesson or two to teach him as well. So in terms of some trivia for this movie, the movie went through several name changes, including Bambi and the Great Prince of the Forest, and Bambi and the Great Prince, before they finally decided just to call it Bambi II. The DVD actually did quite well, as it sold 2.6 million copies on the first day, a then record for any direct-to-DVD sequel. The score was composed by Bruce Broughton, along with new vocals done by Alison Kaz and Martina McBride, and Anthony Callan. A soundtrack for this movie was released on February 7, 2006. And this was actually the last Disney movie to be released on VHS. So this was the end of the legacy for Disney on traditional videotapes. So in terms of recommending this movie, unfortunately this movie does suffer from the same curse of the direct-to-video sequels. The story is very generic and the characters are very one-dimensional. I feel this one suffers as well because this one was done in CGI as opposed to traditional animation. It loses some of the charm that made the original movie so appealing, as it often appears a little too slick compared to the original. On the positive, I did like the theme of the father and son bonding, but that truly doesn't really start until like 45 minutes into the film, so kind of slow starting there. I think there were some great ideas here, but it just came off as very generic. Like they kind of start off with this whole father-son bonding thing right at the start, and then it kind of disappears into where Bambi's on his own with his friends Thumper and Flower. So it kind of, and then it returns, like, so it just doesn't flow through as nicely as I would have liked. My recommendation for this one is probably just stick to the original, as this one is not, unfortunately, the greatest. So in terms of our bonus story this week, we are going to talk about the Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground. So this is a themed resort located at the Walt Disney Resort in Orlando, Florida. The resort opened on November 9th, 1971, and it is located next to Bay Lake. The resort actually is featured in the opening day special, even though it was not ready to open until a month after opening day. The theme of the resort is a rustic campground and located within 750 acres of pine and cypress forest. The resort is actually split into two parts: a campsite area where recreational vehicles or tents can be set up, or a permanent trailers. There are permanent trailers as well in the second part that are designed to resemble log cabins. In terms of the dining options, the resort hosts a dinner show entitled the Hoop-de-Doo Musical Review. We're going to cover that more in detail because there's a lot to cover in that one. But other dining options include the Trails and Barbecue, which is a buffet table service restaurant, and as well as there are several RV themed food trucks located throughout the resort. The resort used to feature Mickey's Backyard Barbecue, but this has yet to reopen after the COVID pandemic. In terms of recreation, the resort is host to 2 heated swimming pools. The main pool is the Meadow Pool, which features a winding water slide transported from the closed River Country Water Park. Other activities include horseback riding, fishing, archery, and trail walks throughout the resort. As well as guests can rent several activities, including tennis rackets, canoes, kayaks, and bikes can be rented at the bike barn. A dog park is also available to guests who bring their animals with them. So in terms of entertainment, guests can visit the Tri-Circle D Ranch, which houses all of the horses that work at the Magic Kingdom. It also features a museum dedicated to Walt's love of horses. As well, guests can participate in trail rides, hay rides, and carriage rides, all available at an additional cost. And then each night, campfire sing-alongs with Chip and Dale, presented by Pop Secret, occurs where a cast member leads a sing-along in an amphitheater along with Chip and Dale. The Chip and Dale will also appear for autographs and photo ops throughout the night. The night also features a Disney movie presented on a big screen along with campfire food such as s'mores from the food trucks. And during the holidays, guests are encouraged to decorate their campsites, and Christmas parades featuring decorated golf carts occur frequently. In terms of getting to the resort, from 1973 to 1980, a Disney Railroad transported guests to their campsite. However, this has been discontinued, and the current transportation is Disney buses and golf carts that can be rented. Boat transportation as well is available to the Magic Kingdom theme park from the resort. So I've actually never stayed at this resort. I have attended the Hoop-de-Doo, and I recommend it as it is a super fun evening with great food. If you leave hungry, then there's something wrong with you. So one of my go-to breakfast spots, actually, whenever I visit Walt Disney World, is the Trails and Barbecue. It's a great way to start the day before heading to the Magic Kingdom. And again, really great food, really great atmosphere, kind of a low-level breakfast, not too crazy. So definitely recommend kind of visiting this resort. And it sounds like there's a lot of stuff to do, even if you're not staying there, to just kind of hang out and have a day just to relax. So definitely recommend the Trails and Barbecue and the campfire, Disney's Fort Wilderness Campfire. So thank you for joining us here on Disney Movie Investigation. I would invite you to please leave a comment below if you've seen the movie Bambi 2 and what you think of it, as well as if you have stayed at the at Disney's Fort Wilderness Campgrounds. What is your favorite memory, and what do you like about the movie, or what do you like about the resort? So as we look forward to our next episode, we're going to take a look at a modern favorite as we take a look at last year's Free Guy starring Ryan Reynolds. And we will be starting a series for bonus stories as we take a look at part 1 as the history of Disney and video games. So look forward to that one. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.